How we doing? I'm Average Joe Cigars, and tonight I'm going to be hitting you guys with another review. So tonight I'm going to dip into my little travel cigar case here and see what we got. So tonight we'll be smoking the Flor Fina from Arturo Fuente, or his grandson Carlito at this point. This is the Candela wrapper. So you see it has a nice light green hue to it. Now I chose to smoke this particular cigar and review this particular cigar tonight because I feel like not a lot of cigar smokers, especially the less experienced, less seasoned cigar smoker, will reach for a cigar of this color, just mainly due to the idea that they don't have the understanding of why it's that color or what it is. So the way it was described to me at the tobacco lounge that I frequent is the tobacconist told me that in his estimation, maybe 10 to 15, possibly 20% of cigar smokers actually gravitate towards the Candela wrap, which is this green wrap right here. The Candela wrap is a more youthful wrapper leaf for the cigar. So they harvest it a bit earlier, and something about the humidification process is changed, and you are left with this beautiful green color. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Now, as far as cutting a cigar goes, if anyone wants to know what I prefer, it depends on the cigar. Something of this size, this is about 6 1/4 inch. I want to say the ring gauge is a 47 on this, which to me is pushing it widthwise on the ring gauge. I cap out at about a 50 at most. I'm most comfortable, to be honest with everybody out there, I'm most comfortable with a Panatella or a Lancero 38 to 42 ring gauge right in there. I just like the elegance and the feel of it in my hand, but I will from time to time indulge in something a little bit thicker. So for something like this, lately I have become extremely fond of the punch. This is something you could pick up at your shop near you, $5, maybe $10 at most. This is a cool little guy because it retracts with a button. If I wasn't gonna go with a punch on something like this, I might go with a V, which is another kind of cool little thing. A trick with the V that I've kind of picked up recently is that you can cut it more than once. I'm gonna repeat that. You can cut it more than once. So I can snip it with the V, rotate it 90 degrees, snip it again and give it kind of a cross. If I still don't like the draw, I can even turn it in between and give it a third cut, kind of like a star. They call that the rose cut. But again, today I'm going to go with the punch. Yes, I do like to add a little moisture before I cut my cigars because I have had in the past, although humidified and kept properly, they can get a little dry, and depending on what you're using to cut it, you can get a crack or a tear up here, and it just kind of takes away from the experience. So just a little bit of moisture and a decent amount of pressure when you're using the punch, and I rotate back and forth. Boom. And you'll get something that looks like that. All right. And just upon tasting, you know, just tapping it with my tongue, the flavor profile of this thing is incredibly unique. It's a bit sweet, get a little bit of creaminess. The draw is perfect. Yeah, I'm excited. So let's go ahead and fire her up. Man, such an earthy kind of sweet, earthy aroma. Man, wonderful. So right out of the gate, I'm getting a little bit of sweetness, but an overall earthiness that I really enjoy to these, almost like a grassiness, if you will. Kind of a sugar cane undertone that I'm getting from it. Yeah, Arturo Fuente has, in my opinion, definitely done something right with this combination here. Again, the candela, not a very popular, in my estimation, just going out and checking out different tobacco spots, in my estimation, not a very popular choice for most people. But then again, when you're smoking cigars, the one thing that I have learned over the past few years is to just stay true to yourself and what makes you feel comfortable. Capiche? Yeah, no, like for me, again, I'm more of a Lancero, Panatella, kind of in that realm. I don't find many people when I'm out at a lounge having a cigar that are gonna smoke anything of that stature. I mean, it's usually Corona, double Corona, a lot of Robustos, Churchills even. But I have come to notice that the larger ring gauge, for whatever reason, is extremely popular. But for me, it's just not my thing, and I'm gonna go with what I like and enjoy the most. Now, the one thing that I forgot to lay on my beautiful table here is my ashtray. Please forgive me. So, these ashtrays here are pretty cool. I've been enjoying these lately. It's kind of got a bit of a mold to it that'll hold your cigar if you need to put it down or whatever. You got something going on while you're smoking. Something of this stature is probably going to take about 45 minutes to an hour to smoke. So just make sure you carve out a nice little niche of time to enjoy and partake. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about myself a little bit and why I decided to start reviewing cigars and what I eventually would like to do with this channel in hopes that it may become. I'm Joe Marcucci. I've been smoking cigars for about 2.5, 3 years now, but really thoroughly enjoying and getting the most out of cigars, I would say, for probably about a year now. When I say really getting the most out of them and thoroughly enjoying them, I want people to understand that, at least for me, in my opinion, I smoked 5 cigars, I smoked 10 cigars, I smoked 20, 50 cigars in my life. And they were okay, they were kind of all the same to me. I didn't pay much attention. I kind of just more so liked the feel of it in my hand and the way it looked. But then I really sat down and spent a little bit of coin on a couple different cigars that I wanted to try, and I wanted to get the most out of them. So I did a bit of reading and some research in how to properly smoke the cigar. Now, when it comes to lighting a cigar, to cutting a cigar, to hitting a cigar, by nature, it's a very detailed process in which you can take away from the experience on any given step if not done properly. Let's go ahead and start with cutting the cigar. you want to get comfortable with a size, if I had to give you advice here, that matches you. And get comfortable with the double or single guillotine, something like this. And this is cool because it's got a little backstop in here, so you don't take too much of that cigar off, and you always get a pretty good even cut. Also, Vertigo does this serrated blade that I will say, in particular, is off the hook, man. I love it. It's great. I didn't think it was gonna make much of a difference, but it really did. So I would get comfortable with the guillotine or the double guillotine first. Then I would start to venture with something like this in a V, and of course the punch, just depending. I mean, I'd love to use my punch more often, but again, more of a Lancero Panatella guy. Doesn't really call for it. So as far as the smoking of the cigar, now this is pretty interesting. Although I'd like to think that I picked one up, fired it up, hit it, and everything worked out perfect, and I hit it perfect, and I got the flavor, it couldn't be farther from the truth. It took me a good 3 to 6 months to really find it. And when I say find it, what I mean is, how does my palate operate? Because everybody's palate is unique to them. And I believe that there's no two palates the same, naturally. And the art of smoking these is something that has to be played with and found over time. So for me, like I said, it took about 3 to 6 months, if I had to guess on how long it took me to find it, truly find it. And how did I know that I found it? I started to first venture into the world of cigarillos. And I quickly understood and got hold of the idea that there's no rule in writing, or no one ever said that a good cigar has to be of a certain stature or size. It just isn't. You could find a very good cigar in any size, really. So the first that I started to kind of venture into was the cigarillo. And Arturo Fuente being one of the first cigarillos that I started to enjoy thoroughly, I still wasn't hitting them right, and I still wasn't getting everything out of the cigar that I could. Over time, I started to begin to get more comfortable with the retro hit, and I'll explain that in just a second, but the retro hit is something that, for me at least, changed the entire experience of the cigar. I usually try to almost nearly smoke the whole cigar in that fashion, just because the level of flavor on the palate is night and day, at least to me. It's night and day. So the art of drawing in through the middle bottom of my mouth and blowing out through the top and the nose, really kind of holding the smoke between my tongue and the roof of my mouth for just a second, has allowed me to get the full experience of the cigar. So don't be discouraged if you are having problems, in a sense, finding it when it comes to drawing your cigar. In terms of the draw and the airflow through the cigar, different people like different things. For me personally, I don't like a cigar that hits me. I like to hit the cigar. So I want to work for it a bit. I don't want to bust mine open too much, which is why I think I gravitate towards that punch cut. Once I tried it, it just kind of stuck, and anytime I have a chance to use it, I use it. Something about it. I just love the draw. For me, I kind of take a longer draw. I don't want too big of a hit, and it just works out perfect. But you might be someone who likes to get a big hit and kind of just not work for it as much, and it's not as long and a drawn out draw. Then the guillotine or double guillotine, depending on what you prefer, may be the way to go, or even the rose cut with the V cutter here might just be something that you're into. So I encourage you to play around with that and figure out what kind of fits your style. This is a really good cigar, man. Yeah. Sweet undertones, man, with a little bit of cream. This is just a real pleasant cigar. The earthy, kind of grassy flavor that comes from this guy, not everyone is going to like. I'm just going to go ahead and lay that out there. But I think the reason that, again, that I chose to showcase this guy on my first review and video is kind of the unpopularity, if you will. And it's kind of just a screwball choice. And I think that that fits me pretty well. So again, when it comes to cigar smoking, do what you gravitate towards. Don't follow what anybody else does, because again, no two palate is going to be the same, and you just might enjoy something that everybody else doesn't. So kind of a sugar cane kind of undertone to this thing, man. This is real pleasant. It is approximately, let's see here, 9:52 at night. I have had my last meal and a cup of coffee, and this is something that I can see myself smoking really at any time throughout the day. It's more of a mild, I wouldn't even give it a mid-body, more of a mild cigar, real smooth. I after a cup of coffee in the morning, I could see myself smoking one of these. In the afternoon, I could see myself smoking one of these. And of course, right now after dinner at night, I could see myself smoking one of these right here on this camera. So, a little bit about the space that I am in. I am in a 3-car garage, this being the carport converted into my man cave because I live with my beautiful girlfriend of 8 years and my grandmother. Naturally, when we decided to make this move and see if it was something that we could all work out, I had one condition, this being it, and I spend every waking minute that I can in this garage, being my space. Because if I did not, naturally, ladies, I love you guys to death, but being stuck with 2 ladies in a house, I might just rip the house apart. What is it that made me gravitate towards cigars, or what pulled me in? I'm a firm believer that for the most part, one cigar is gonna turn your ass out. It's just gonna turn you out. You're gonna have one cigar, and the flavor of it, the aroma when you toast the foot of that thing, it's something about it is just gonna intrigue you and reel you in. That's exactly what happened to me. Again, I'd smoked maybe 20 to 50 cigars in my life and never blinked at them. I played baseball for a long time. I was a big chewer, and it was just something that never sparked my interest until Arturo Fuente's Maduro Cigarillo, and just turned me out, man. Fell in love, head over heels. And since then, I've been experimenting and trying different flavors and just thoroughly enjoying the world of cigars. Personally, I think that everyone, not just men, women, ladies, everyone should at least try a cigar at one point or another, because in my eyes, it is a privilege, an absolute treat to be able to have something like this. And I think that you never know if you're going to appreciate or enjoy something until, naturally, you go ahead and give it a chance. So, with that being said, not that I'm gonna ever push anybody to do anything, or to me, at the end of the day, it don't matter. But I'd hate to see anyone miss out on the absolute treat that is a cigar, and a cigar of your liking to match your palate. I would just hate to see that happen. So, although I'm not going to push anyone, I do encourage If it is something that you've been meaning to try or would like to try, go out and do it, man. Go out and do it. As far as how often I partake, I am a daily smoker. I will have, I would say, probably 2 to 4, 2 to 5 cigars a day. I know for some of you that may seem like a lot. Again, just like the palate and the flavor and the choice of size, of gauge, of anything, everybody's gonna be different. So yeah, it can be something to look forward to. It can be whatever you make it, really. Starting to move into the second third of this thing, and that kind of grassiness, that initially, that almost dirt, earthy flavor that was initially just popping off on my palate is kind of starting to even out a little bit. And I'm starting to get a creamy, more cane sugar, just smooth, man. This thing is something else, I tell you. Yeah, it's starting to even out on those earthy kind of tones and introduce a little more of that cane sugar, a little more cream, if you will. This is extremely pleasant. As far as some of my favorites and what my everyday smokes are, I'm just gonna go ahead and put those on the table. The Monte Cristo number 4 is a personal favorite of mine. I do, although, find that the Monte Cristo, regardless of what Monte Cristo, the draw is not always effortless. I have, in my experience in the past, gotten a lot of Monte Cristos where I've had to use a draw enhancer or something to kind of open her up a little bit, because when it was rolled, it was constructed in a manner to where the draw just isn't proficient for my liking. But the Monte Cristo number 4 is right up there in my top 3, top 5. Personally, it's just something that I can smoke every day. Something that I'll treat myself with and I try to keep in my humidor is a Davidoff number 2. Although it is a bit, just a tad above my pay grade here, that's something I'll bust out on a Friday night, on any type of occasion. I'll make an occasion to bust out a Davidoff number 2. To me, that cigar is second to none in smoothness, in flavor profile. The draw is, again, second to none. It's just hands down to me, the Davidoff number 2 Special in particular is my go-to, and Arturo Fuente. Now, when I say Arturo Fuente, I mean the vast variety of Arturo Fuente in terms of affordability, flavor, quality, everything. Absolutely beautiful. This right here, I'm in California, so it cost me a little bit more, but like this cigar, for example, would run you $12 to $14 at any typical cigar shop. Now, in terms of an everyday smoke, again, I'm going to revert back to, and I know a lot of big cigar guys out there are not going to agree, but it is just in my opinion that the cigarillo is something that I ventured into first, and I've grown beyond fond of the cigarillo. in particular, Arturo Fuente cigarillo. If you can't carve out an hour and you have 20 minutes, but you want to enjoy a smoke, they're perfect. They're great, man. I always keep a little tin box of 10 on hand. And I say always of 10 because I will have multiple. Romeo y Julieta does a variety of great cigarillos as well. Cohiba does a real good cigarillo. And yeah, the variety is probably greater than what you probably think going in. So I encourage you to take the time to check it out. Ask. Poke around a little bit into the world of cigarillos, because again, nobody ever said that a good cigar had to be of a certain stature. So yeah, that's one thing that I live by. As far as why I have started this channel, why not? I'm out here smoking cigars every day in my life, enjoying cigars. The level of passion that I have grown to feel for these sticks is something else. It's something that I never thought I would kind of dive into, and I'm really grateful that I have. I am. I think that for me, the commitment to time is something that I really needed in my life, and I didn't know just how much I needed in my life until I began to partake. But the commitment to time is something that, for me, it just keeps me grounded. It slows me down enough to appreciate the finer things. It just keeps my mind level enough. I am a very high energy person naturally. I'm sure you guys can see it already. And I live a lifestyle like most Americans. I am go, go, go. And this just helps me to kind of, I don't know, it's a break in the action, man. And it's something that I thoroughly enjoy and that I really need. As far as the health benefits or how it can affect you negatively health-wise, look, man, I'm just a big proponent of you only get one shot at this thing, and you might as well enjoy it in moderation, of course, but you might as well enjoy it while you have the chance. And this is just something that I'm not gonna let anybody take away from me. My cigars are my cigars. It's something I enjoy. My girlfriend doesn't seem to mind too much. And again, it's something that I feel not only the physical aspect of it, but the mental aspect is something that was missing, that I didn't even know was missing from my life. So kind of just kicking back, smoking a stick, and in particular, when I'm out at a lounge or whatever, the idea of the conversation and the people that I've come across in these past few years is the quality is just outstanding. I mean, stand-up people really everywhere. There seems to be a brotherhood, an absolute brotherhood between men, women who partake in cigar smoking. And that's one of the coolest things I find about the whole idea of cigars. And another thing in particular that I find just great is the tradition. The idea that, for the most part, the way that a handmade cigar is rolled is something that generation after generation, with the introduction of technology, it for the most part hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. The ring gauge, the size, the popularity of size, that's something that's changed here and there over the years, but the idea of the blending, the rolling, the curing, the aging, it is all the same idea. So tradition is something, naturally, as a baseball guy, I have loved since I was a child. And that's just another aspect that I think just caps it off. It's a cherry on top for me. It's got great tradition, and it's great, yeah. So with that being said, I am going to retire from this camera for the night. Enjoy the rest of my candela wrap. This is the Florfina again, the 8x5x8 is what they call it. Arturo Fuente is who created this guy. In actuality, it's his grandson, Carlito. I highly recommend you try the candela wrap at least once, just to see if it's something that your palate agrees with, because again, it exploded in my palate and I knew I liked it instantly. If that's you, great. If it's not, hey, you tried it, right? So keep puffing, and you guys have a great night. God bless.